So first, I started with a Christmas wreath. You know, we all have these on our doors. We have different things on them maybe, or just leave them plain. And I want to repurpose it for Valentine's Day. So I took it outside and spray painted it. I used a teal color spray paint that had a little bit of sparkle to it. It was a glittery one, and when I finished, it ended up looking like this. So this was 2 cans of that spray paint. So it started like this, and now it looks like this. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit teal. Now I'm going to continue with these hearts. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to work on for this, but don't get intimidated because it's all about scrap busting. You know, taking all those scraps that we have, bunch of leftover thread, some felt, more felt. We all have scraps of something. And if you don't have felt, you can use fabric, you can use lace. I've got a bunch of lace and different fabric pieces in this little bag here. Got an old doily. All of these things. Got some, let's see what else I got here. I got some of these appliques that I got at a thrift store, just sitting there. I have a bunch of beads. So these are all just scraps that I have around. You know, as crafters, as artists, that's what we have. And I have this Christmas wreath. So I also got a bunch of these little hearts. They're felt hearts. It was a little package at a thrift store. And there's just a few hearts in here. If you don't have a package of them like I do, just get a piece of felt or a piece of fabric and cut a heart. You know, you can freehand it. Really not a big deal as far as what size heart, but I liked this version of it, this size. And what I thought was that I could do kind of like felt ornaments on this wreath. You know, I've been doing workshops where I take little felt pieces and repurpose them. So when we have these decorations in our home, it's not just one season or one purpose, but different purposes. And as I spread these out, I liked the size of them. I liked the placement. I think this will be good for a little Valentine wreath. So I have this amount. If I had double this amount, I would just use these. But since I only have this, I want to stuff them. I want to put another felt back on and stuff them and put some beads on them and then put them on this wreath. So I'm going to take these and use them as my template to cut out some more hearts. But first, I want to create some backings for this. And I'm not going to get real fussy. If any of you have ever followed me with craft projects or art projects, I don't like I'm just not going to get fussy with like, is this the right size? Is it, you go with what you have. And what I'm feeling like here is I'm just going to take each heart, I'm going to cut around it and create a back. And all I want for this piece of felt, if I chop off one of these little knobbies, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about anything, you guys. It's crafting. It's supposed to be fun. So here's what my heart looks like. So that's nice as a template. So I'm going to take some different colors here. I have this felt that I got, this stack. Again, I got a rummage or craft, a thrift store, something. I don't love this felt. It's not real soft. You know, when you buy felt at like a craft store, it's usually really soft and beautiful to work on. This one's very stiff. So wherever I got it from, I don't love where I got it from, but it serves a purpose, which is providing the back for these little hearts that I'm going to make. So I'm going to cut each one of these. So you'll see I have the 6 backings that I cut out. Notice I'm not using, I could use all traditional colors, right? But I really just used what I had. To me, it's more interesting to do more color because that's how I am. I like color. And I just chose 6 random colors, and they're going to go on the back of these. So I'm going to put these aside for 1 second. We're going to come back to them. Another thing you'll need is just some stuffing, a little bit. This is that fiber fill. It's just a little pile. Comes in that giant bag, which I don't know if you're like me, that bag will go a long way. I have a bag that it's a couple years old, I think. But you take it out little by little, use it for your projects. So I've got my hearts, I have some beads. I'm gonna pull some random stuff here. And I'm gonna pull some thread, and this is just embroidery floss. And let's see what else I got. We obviously need an embroidery needle and some embroidery threads. So I got that. What a challenge for me to thread this live. Am I the only one that has a hard time threading needles? I mean, come on. I'm not the only one. Will it go through? Will it happen? It did! Yay! So I have this random piece of thread. I'm not measuring it. I'm just making it what I think is just, you know, long enough to play with here. I've got a knot at the end of it, which I'll trim. And I'm going to take my heart, and I'm just going to start doing some random stitching and some random beading. And I'm doing this like just however I feel. So when I'm doing stitching like this, picture me sitting, you know, hanging out, listening to music, listening to a book, watching TV, something like that. And that's usually what I do. I'll stitch random pieces, sometimes just little patches that I don't know what I'm going to use them for. Just brings me comfort somehow to sit and stitch. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to do that on each one. I don't have a real pattern right now. I'm just doing a couple X's. I think it would be fun since this is a Valentine thing. Maybe I'll do some X's and O's. Be kind of fun, right? So I'm going to stitch this. Of course, I have a long piece that's knotting because that's what happens. So I have 3 X's. Let me make a couple O's. And yes, you know that I did not plan this because my thread keeps knotting. Happens. If you were sitting here stitching with me, you'd see this. I'm showing you it all. So when I'm making an O, I'm just going little stitches. Okay. Little stitches like this so that I can go around. I go through the previous little stitch, pull it through. I go a little bit more in trying to make a rounded circle. Just a rounded grouping of stitches. And go around, almost there. So picture when you're doing something like this, stitching in particular slows things down for me. I mean, you can't rush it. You can't rush stitching, you know? So you kind of slow down and you know, get into, I feel like a good headspace where you're, you know, meditating, praying, listening to the birds, getting into a place where, you know, the hurriedness of the world kind of goes away and the busyness of the world goes away and all of that. And you're just kind of in a different headspace, and it can make you think of different things, I think. So, you know, it's great to get a group of people together to do this. Like if you have some crafters and you want to do something like this with them, that's a great idea. But it's also great, like I find it just meditating, just to do on my own. I have been stitching on felt probably since I was a little girl. I just love using felt. I think it's so fun and freeing, and you know, it has pretty colors. You can make different shapes with it. It's not at all hard to work with. And the stitching, you know, you'll notice I'm not making everything perfect. I'm not sure there is a thing. There probably is a thing of perfect stitching. I'll say that. There probably is. I am not that type of stitcher. I am somebody that wants to do my best job, but I'm not going to overstress. Okay, so get one more. So we've got 2 of them, 3 kisses, 3 hugs. I think the X's are kisses and the O's are hugs, right? I don't even remember. Okay, coming around to the end where I'll have 3 and 3. And, you know, I'm working on this and showing you this, but what I'm hoping you'll do is take these little hearts and just take them when you have time to, you know, watching TV, listening to, whenever you have a minute and you can pack something like this in a travel bag. Like I often do that with just a already threaded needle that I usually tuck into my little piece of felt like that, and I put it in a baggie or something like that and put it in my purse for when I have extra minutes. And we always see we have them. We wait at the doctor, we wait picking up the kids, whatever it is. And then instead of that being an annoyance, it becomes a few minutes for you to do something, I feel like. So I've got this part on there. I'm thinking I just want to add some random beads, just random. And I haven't planned this out. I'm just looking to see what I have. These are all extra beads because I only have a couple of these. Why don't I use those? These little guys. I'm not worried about what color they are. This is all about, you know, just using up stuff. It's all about feeling good, not overthinking, taking your time to do something enjoyable, that type of thing. Okay, put one more. So I used up those little random ones that I had. What else I got in here? I got these ones, there are only a few. So I might put some more over here with that. Actually, I think I'm going to do these and then those. Change your plan. Change your plan, y'all. Now, if you notice, I have these in an old muffin tin, these beads. I have a tutorial on Made TV about how I did that, but finding these old muffin tins is just gold. You know, usually you get them, they're like gross, they're like rusted. They've been used and loved, and you think, what am I going to do with that? I don't want to cook in it. And I usually take a couple coats of spray paint and they just clean right up. You know, they really become beautiful after that. So I like doing things like that. Even this can be a scrap busting project, even with something like your old muffin tin. Use that up. You think you have no purpose for it. There's always something you can do with it. And if you've paid attention to anything I've done, spray paint is just your friend for transforming things. I love, and I usually use the Krylon. I don't always use glitter, but I do like Krylon in different, they've got different things that coat really well, it seems like. So That is one of my favorites to use. All right. Put a few more beads on here. You can see I'm not really I'm not planning out a pattern. I'm just kind of randomly putting them down. Randomly doing it. And a couple more. And what else we got here? Now picture, we're gonna do 6 of these, right? They're gonna be all different, and then they'll go on our little wreath. And even these hearts will be something you can repurpose, because maybe you wanna put them on your wreath, repurpose your Christmas wreath. That's a great idea. Maybe you want to, you know, put them on a little package. Maybe you want to stick them in a little envelope for somebody as a little Valentine. I think that's a great idea. So I am just grabbing some white ones. When I get beads, by the way, I get them. Here's another place you can get beads. I love to go to thrift stores and find them in old necklaces. I mean, I love digging through old jewelry and finding out, you know, how I can repurpose that stuff somehow. Somehow it's not, you know, always something you're gonna wear, but you can cut off the beads. Very often they're beads just like this, and use them for stitching or something else. So, and it's way cheaper than buying them usually. So it's another way you can not only repurpose, but save money. We like that. Who doesn't want to do that? This thread is going pretty far, I notice. I've done all of this so far. So even though it was a little knotty in the beginning, it's working out nice. Fill in that little spot. And as far as pattern, I mean, really do what you feel. If you can get really involved with this, you can do, you know, some florals. I might do that. You can really go and make these really as beautiful or as simple as you want. It's completely up to you. So now I'm gonna go back to, I got these random ones over here. There's just a handful of them. I don't know when I'm gonna use them, so I'm gonna use them right now. Using up my scraps, you guys. Feels good using up scraps, doesn't it? Why is that? Because we gather things, I guess. We think, are we ever going to use it? And then we do, and it just is like, yes. Excellent. So, looks like it'll happen. Yay! So I have an XO, X's and O's, pretty filled up, and I like it for this one. So I'm just going to put a little knot to secure it and move on to the next one. Okay, so I have this little red heart, and as I mentioned, I got these appliques, 50 cents, and it was a whole bunch of them, and it was stuff like this and stuff like this, and it was in this bag, and I got it at a thrift store. So I have this giant one I don't think I'm going to use right now, but these little appliques with these little sequins are so cute, aren't they? So I thought they would be great on this heart. And since these little sequins are silver, what I did was I pulled some silver embroidery thread that I had, and I pre-threaded it. It's very fussy embroidery thread. This kind of like glittery one is often, you can see it separates really easily. So it's not the most ideal to work with. However, I love that it's silvery and that it kind of matches this. And what I want to do is just put some random things sticking out here. Cut that off. I just want to put couple of these appliques just randomly, and put them on our little heart. And I think that would be good. And then I still have a couple I can use for something else. So I'm just going to attach these. Ooh, maybe I need a bigger needle. So I'm just putting my thread through the middle here, and I'm just going to lightly sew them on here. Just kind of tack them on with this silver thread. And so if you see the thread on there, to me it's not a big deal because, you know, it's already silver and it matches this silver. To me, seeing threading like this on a project is actually a benefit, I think, because, you know, then you see that it's handmade. Like, I think there's a quality to that. I don't like to hide my stitches. I like to include them. It's a little bit challenged to pull through there. It's thick. So I'm going to go all the way around and tack this down. So I went all the way around this edge. And what I'm going to do is just tack it lightly. I'm not going to stitch it all the way down. I'm just tacking it down so that I know that it won't come off. So I went all the way around this middle. Boom, 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 a few stitches. This isn't going to come off. I'm good with that. And I could end off and put a new piece of thread on, but I'm just going to keep the same one and keep going. Working out the knots. Always with the knots. And again, I'm going to go through the center. Okay, I'm back. I got my little pliers and I also got my little embroidery scissors. You know, it does help to use the right tools. And the reason I'm using this in pliers is this embroidery thread is a little bit thick. So it's been a little bit of a challenge to pull through. But I am determined, you guys. I am determined to use it. And then I don't have to struggle. Unless you enjoy struggling, and I do not. Plus it gives your hand a break. You're using all those little tiny muscles to pull something through. So I'm going to go all the way around on this one. All the way around, and then I'll do the next one and meet you back here. So let me show you my progress. I've sewed these on, and since I had a few spaces for something additional, I'm using this silvery thread just to make some knots, just to add a little bit more zhuzh. And I'm going to do one on this side and just kind of show you what I did. So I pull it through, pull the thread through. If you can get a handle on it. This is finicky thread, I'm not gonna lie. So you make a knot, pull it through, and the way that I do these knots is I put the needle close to where it came through and just put it over 3 times. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Make sure you keep this tight. I mean, you guys probably know how to do this, but if you don't, here's how you do it. And then you put the needle back in very close to where you had put it in, you know, coming up. Put it close in and pull it through, but be careful. This thread in particular is very fussy. It's very like thin and knotty. So normally thread is more easier to work with, but this particular thread is a little fussy, but then it makes this nice little knot. See that? So I'm gonna do a couple of these. I made kind of 3 in each little spot. You can see I'm still using my grabber pliers. What is this called? Pliers? Look, I don't always know the technical terms, but I do know how to use them. Another, roll it over 3 times, hold it, pull it through. Be careful when you pull it through that your thread is not kind of like knotting up before it gets to the actual knot, and then pull it tight and it makes that knot. Last knot, last one. Can we do it without it giving me a problem? You think? So far this thread is fighting me every single way. As soon as I said that, the thread was like, no way, I'm going to give you a problem whether you like it or not. This thread, I would recommend as far as beauty because it's so pretty, but wow, it is difficult to work with, I'm finding. So we have this little knot that has decided to make its way, make its presence known. I acknowledge you not and ask you to leave me be. And it's on the back, thankfully, this knot, because usually it's on the front and then you have to start all over. So since it's on the back, let's do something easy. Oh, knot, you're gonna be sorry. See, I was threatening to cut the thread. It must have known. Does anyone else talk to their thread, or is it just me? Okay, so here I am. 1, 2, 3. Put it down next to it. Pull it up. Let's see if we can pull it up. Pull it through without it getting knotted. Voila. So now that I've done this task, this was like, working with this thread was a challenge, you guys. But we do it for our craft, right? What we don't do for our crafts. Okay. And I'm just cutting that off. So we've got that one complete. So I wanted to show you, I have this light pink heart, and I'm using yellow thread. I like the combination of pink and yellow, especially this light pink and the yellow. And I've just made some flowers with beads in the center. Real simple, but I thought I'd show you this if you are unfamiliar with how to do these. Most of you probably do, but so I have a couple of these. I'm gonna go over here and put my needle in my piece of felt and pull it through. And then just gonna make a little circle like that, and holding it, I'm gonna put the needle down close to where I had pulled it through. So I'm gonna put it down there, and before I pull it all the way through, I am going to put my needle where I want the edge of the petal to be. Okay, then I pull up. I always do this a little bit slowly so I can get the thread to lay correct. And it makes kind of a little petal, just like that. And then I go around to the other side of where this loop is. I'm going over the top now and just making a very small little stitch like that. So that's one petal. The smaller you do these, the more kind of rounded the petal shape are. And also if you do long ones like this, you can make it bigger by kind of putting little stitches on either side. There's different ways to do these. I kind of just do them real, just whatever I feel. You knew I was gonna say that, right? Just kind of do them organically like that. It goes down like that, okay? And make a little circle. Okay, going like that. You can make as many or as few petals as you want. You can really fill this up. I've got 5 or 6 petals or something like that on each flower, so it's kind of where it lands for me usually. And again, when I'm doing these, I'm usually just kind of mindlessly stitching, like, you know, I'm watching TV, I'm listening to a podcast, something like that. Just let my mind go. So I don't pay much attention to if I have them all even. Doesn't matter to me, but you can make this as pristine and beautiful as you want, or you can make it, you know, as handcrafted looking as you want, whatever you want to do. These are up to you. And when you're using scraps, I feel like the best way to do it is just like, you know, grab what you have and be relaxed about it and see what comes up. I love projects that use scraps because it kind of tests your imagination a little bit. You have to think outside the box. You have to work with things you wouldn't normally work with, maybe, or little pieces of stuff. That's good for your creativity, those kind of little challenges. So I'm at the end. Always make sure that your thread doesn't twist and twirl like mine does. It seems like every stitch. Trying to challenge me, apparently. Pull that through. And the little stitch that secures it. Okay, so I have this little flower, and then in the center, I want to put one of these little beads. So I'm just going to put my needle through the center and pull it up and put my bead on here, a little pink bead. And I chose this bead because I like the color and I like that it stands out in the middle. And I just go down and secure it. And that's it. So I finished making 5 of these hearts. On each one, I put little decorations, like this one, for example. I used the edge of a handkerchief, kind of like this. So when you see something like this, and let's say it may have a stain on it or something, you can still use it for something. Just cut off the edge and put it as a decorative element on things like this. So I would add beads and a little bit more stitching. You know, I added appliques and I cut up a doily on here and added it. So it's really just about reusing and repurposing things. On this one, I took an old ribbon and cut it in 3 and then added beads and a little bit more stitching. And I had those hearts that I cut out in all different colors. And what I did on each one was stitch on the back the year. So on each one of these, the year is on there. And it's, you know, it's optional, but I like doing that because, you know, you look back if you make several of these year after year and you can see which ones you did. So there's that. So I got 5 of these complete, and what I did was stitch them together and stuff them and add a hanger. So I want to show you the last one and work on it live with you since I've already done these. So I have this heart that I've stitched with the year. I have the one that I've stitched with the front. And I'm going to put them together, wrong sides together. So here's the back of this and here's the back of this. Because what you want is the right side and the right side sticking out. And I took some thread and pre-threaded it. And I have this green thread, and you can see I'm not really fussy about the threads that I'm using. You know, I've got blue on here. I've got some red. So just choose thread that you like. And I'm just holding these together, and I'm going through the back of this one, the front one, going through the back and pulling it through. And the reason I'm doing that is so that little knot can be on the inside. And what I want to do is stitch around to adhere these together. You know, the felt is really great because it doesn't leave you a raw edge. It's really nice, complete edge. So you can kind of, you don't have to worry about turning it inside out as you would fabric. So I like stitching this way. Now, if you wanted to turn it inside out, you could allow yourself enough room for that. You could also do this on a machine, but I'm hand stitching. I want this to look handmade. So I want the stitches to show. You know, I want this to be seen as something that I sat and stitched on, and that it's a homemade project, something that, you know, I did with my own 2 hands. And if I give it to somebody, they know that there was time and thoughtfulness in it. Or if I just keep it for my family or for ourselves, you know, it becomes something that is a nice little memory. And what I'm going to do when I'm finished with all these is attach them to my wreath. But the reason I'm going through this step is I want these little hearts puffed up a little bit. I think they look better that way. They have a little bit more heft to them. And then when we put them on the wreath, they will look just a little bit better. Then they won't be that flat element. They'll have some dimension. And the dual purpose of this in creating them this way with a tie, you know, that we're going to put on there, creating them that way then means you have the option of either taking them off the wreath at some point and hanging them on something, hanging them on a little tree, on a little hook, whatever you want to do, make it part of a little Valentine decoration in your home. You could do that. You could put them on a little gift. You could give them to someone so that they can hang it. It becomes another option for you. And I'm going to use the hangers to attach them to the wreath. But I think it just is also nice just to have another option for these. I love the idea of creating these, you know, to transform your Christmas wreath. Of course, that's what we're doing with this project. But also making them to put on little gifts or something. And it doesn't have to be for Valentine's Day. So let's say you make these hearts and, you know, you made all 6 of them, put them on your wreath, and you've had them there hanging for February, let's say. Now you want to change it out. You can take those hearts off of there and reuse them as package decoration for anyone. It doesn't, you could give this to somebody for their birthday, put it on their package. It's just a nice little decorative element. Or you could put it in a card and just give someone just a card that says, you know, you're thinking about them, and put it in there for a little extra, something that's homemade and well thought of. That type of thing. So just because they're hearts and they might be pink or red or whatever color you decide to make them, it doesn't matter if you use them for Valentine's Day or if you repurpose them afterwards. I love the idea of repurposing them, though, don't you? And then every year, maybe making new ones for your Valentine wreath, repurposing those. I like that idea. So I'm getting towards the end of my thread here, and what I want to do is go around enough where then I can stuff it and then just sew the stuffing in. And I find this is the easiest way to do projects like this. Oops. Well, my thread came off, so this is probably a good time to end. So let me rethread this, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, I've got this little tiny blob of stuffing, and I have my heart and my thread, and I've stitched just around enough to leave a little opening here in my heart. And I'm going to start with just a really small amount of, this is all I have. Okay, I'm going to start with that and see what that looks like. These hearts are really just to get a little bit of poof, you know, so that we're not, you know, making them round, but we're just stuffing them enough to give them a little dimension. So I'm going to stuff that with my finger up into that little corner, spread it around on this corner, kind of mush it down all over so that it's even. Maybe give it a little bit more, I'm thinking. A little bit more. And when I mush it down to the point where I think it's a good thickness, I just make sure all the ends are tucked in from this raw edge, and I just fold it and hold it and continue. So you can see I did not use a lot at all. I mean, this little ball itself was small and I only used a little bit. So the stuffing goes a very long way. So if you didn't want to buy a big thing of stuffing, if you've ever seen those fiberfill things, they come in a big bag. You know, you could take apart an old pillow. If you're throwing something out, you could use cotton balls. Those work great for a project like this. So you can use other things, just enough to give it some depth. And I'm going to go all the way around just to finish it. And I'm making these very organic, handmade looking stitches, so they're not, I don't know what perfection is in embroidery, but you know, they're not machine done. These are hand stitched, and I want them to look hand stitched. So I'm going over just a simple stitch all the way around. I'm holding it together, bringing it through. Of course, I get a knot at the end. What would it be without that, right? There we go. And on this last bit, when I'm ready to end off, so I bring it around like this and I hold the back of it. And then what I do to end off is I just bring that thread through the back and I bring it around and make a knot. Oops, made a little loop, but I can fix that. And then I bring the thread through again and pull it out down here to kind of hide the fact that there was a loose edge here. So with this little loop knot thing, I'm just going to trim it. It can be trimmed because it has the knot. I have a smaller scissors, which should make this easier. Let's try that one. Use the right tools, always. There we go. And so that's complete now, okay? Back, front. Now, I'm gonna go back to, remember that silver embroidery floss? I am going to make a good long amount of it like that. I'm gonna get my needle and put that floss on it. See if I can make it happen. This floss, as I mentioned before, is very fussy, this silver floss, but it's beautiful. So it's worth working with. So I have it threaded and I'm going to go through on this top. So I'm going to go through the back right here and bring it through the front. And I'm going to hold on to this edge and just kind of bring it through, snip that edge. So I'm going to put that aside, put the needle aside, and I've got these two edges. I'm going to tie them really well so that we have a tie that can hang. And I'm going to just do a simple knot a couple times to secure it. With this thread especially, you need to do 2 or 3 knots to secure it because it's formulated a little bit differently than regular embroidery floss and it can tend to unravel. So I like to just secure it a couple times so it doesn't do that. But it's really pretty to work with. Even the fussiness, even though there's fussiness, it's worth it. So I do it a couple times and I just cut the ends. That's all I do. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then, you know, I just kind of bring that end around so that it's against the back here. And then you have your hanger and it hangs. Now let's put it on our wreath. So I have my hearts. I have my wreath, which is dry. You know, it's been spray painted and has had a couple days to dry, so it's fully dry. And then I have these things, and these are floral kind of wires. So they're just green, and they're just a simple thin wire, and you could use any thin wire. You could use any kind of clip that will adhere this. So it doesn't need to be fussy. In fact, one of these is probably going to work for this whole, all of them. And I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut just a length like that, a couple inches. Be careful as you cut. The wire's so thin that I cut it with the scissors. So I have that kind of length, okay? And now I'm going to just decide where each of these are going to go. So I had these like that. You know, I like that they're both appliques on there. I liked that that one was down there because it's, you know, pretty and decorative. I like that that one's there. So I'm trying to vary the colors and the designs. So I've got a pink, reds. Let's put these two pinks here and here. What do you think? Bring that down a little. And that's how it would look. So let's attach them. So I'm going to start with the bottom here because it's right in front of me. What I do with this then, I've got this nice hanger, and you can make them shorter, longer, whatever you want to do it. I just take a piece of the little wreath here, you know, one of those stems that the wreath you can bend it all over. I'm going to put the hanger around that stem, and then I'm going to secure it with, so I'm going to go around, so this is a better way to show you, like this. I'm going to put the wire through the hanger like that, so it's hanging from the wire, and then I'm going to put it around the stem and just bring that wire around to attach it. So it's nice and attached like that. Now let's do it for this one. Again, little piece of it. You only need a couple inches. And I like to just go all the way around, just little by little. Now, doing it this way will allow you then to take these off if you want to repurpose them later. So you can take all these hearts off, put them on packages, decorate your house, whatever you want to do with them, because it still has the little hanger on it and still usable. And then, you know what? You can repurpose this wreath again. You can spray paint it something else. Make it for spring. Spray paint it white. Do whatever you want to do. Put some cute bunny ornaments on here. Easter eggs, something like that. And like that. So let me keep going all the way around. And now we've gone all the way around. These are nice and attached, and they're ready to hang on your door. If you make a wreath like this, be sure to tag me on social media and show me, and happy Valentine's Day, you guys.